In her narration, among other things, she says that the Atreides are liars. And I'm curious, would you say that she is a reliable narrator?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I have to say that. I'm literally Valia.
You're on her side.
Welcome to the Den of Geek. I did want to begin by asking, what's it like for all of y'all stepping into a world as beloved and also famously trenchant or intimidating as Dune?
I think it's really exciting and I find it quite comforting to be a part of something that is so much bigger than anything that we can really do, because it's existed in people's imaginations for so long. We can merely just be a suggestion of what we think, But it is obviously just so cool when you imagine being an actor to be in something like this. It's kind of what you think of being just so fun. So I just feel really grateful.
I think there's so much lore associated with the text as well. So there's so much to dive into. It's not like you're starting from scratch. There's so many, there's 13 books or something. So there's so much that you can dive into and take from and I guess create your choices from that. So it's a nice experience.
It's also nice to know that people are already excited. People are...
Yeah, you know that people are going to see the show. Most times you're filming something and you're hey, maybe you'll see it. This time, you know that people are going to watch it, which is half the battle. So it's great.
Yeah, and also I became a fan of Dune when I watched the first film. So to get to be a part of this universe is pretty amazing. Yeah.
To dive into this universe and your corner of it, I think, Jessica, to start with your character, since she's the first sister we're introduced to, what can you say about young Valia Harkonnen when we meet her in the story?
There's a lot to say. I mean, obviously, the audience, whether or not they know Dune through the books or through the movies, you have this you're coming to it with a huge preconceived idea about what a Harkonnen is. So you're coming to it thinking is this a villain? And that's kind of what you discover. You're is this a psychopath? Is this just a regular young person who has a thing that they want to avenge in the way that we all do in some way? I mean, she's a pretty angry young person, but she also is really vulnerable and is really determined to take over the universe, which is completely incredible.
Slay.
Me too,
Modest goals. She narrates the first episode, and she, in her narration, among other things, she says that the Atreides are liars. And I'm curious, would you say that she is a reliable narrator?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I have to say that. I'm literally Valia.
You're on her side.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. That question, in itself, is why Dune is so incredible, because it obviously is. It's borrowing things that we deal with in everyday life. What is the truth? In all these wars and politics and stuff. Who is it? But Valia's one of those characters that you get in film and TV and books where you're seeing somebody in real time. She is a villain, but you're seeing how you see with the Joker. You're seeing a really vulnerable side to them, and probably she is lying sometimes, but she's a psychopath. What do you want from me?
Emily, Olivia, I do want to ask y'all, you obviously play Bene Gesserit, but you're also Harkonnen Sisters in this story. So how does that change the dynamic for your characters from what audiences are used to when they think of the Bene Gesserit?
Well, I mean, I was really a Dune virgin and didn't. I saw the Dune movies, but to me, it's a properly complex human story. That's what I began to realize, this is how I can, as an actor, I can start to get my claws into this, because it's a really, really properly messed up family with a lot of trauma and a lot of terrible relationships. And then they've given themselves to this powerful organization that is trying to control pretty much every aspect of the universe, religion, money, oil. It's, age-old stories. So it's very rich territory.
Yeah, and our first project together, having known each other since we were in our 20s, and Emily said, I think it would be very good to study this family by going to look at the Tudor portraits of Elizabeth I and Mary, Queen of Scots, at the National Portrait Gallery. A couple of sisters who had varying degrees of closeness and separation, as history has shown. So yeah, it was a great start to our sisterhood.
Well, that's a little foreboding, given where that story went.
No spoilers.
Well, you're both playing Harkonnen, who are the villains of the Dune movies. Do you think it's fair to say that prophecy challenges what viewers might think they know about the politics of the Harkonnen and Atreides?
I think you never play a villain. You always play a person who thinks they are blessed with the right way of seeing things. And I think particularly Valia, is utterly convinced that she alone has the right, can see the right way forward for humankind. And there's clearly a lot of things that are very messed up from the off, but I don't think we could ever have approached this as, we're going to be baddies.
And they have that belief that they're justified, that, try and find the baddie in a land war. I was here first. It's got tremendous resonance for what's happening today politically, and who's right and who's wrong. Or there's just pain.
It's the fun of the Dune universe, that there are no heroes really in it. Travis, I don't want to. Well, you play Desmond Hart, and without getting too much into spoilers, we can say he's a soldier of Arrakis. And what would you say brings him into this story and to the royal household?
I think he comes in as a bit of a mystery character. You're not sure what he's about yet. And that's what attracted me to the great scripts these guys wrote, was you don't know who's good or bad. And it feels like sometimes the show's just one big riddle trying to work it out. So if you like riddles, I think you'll enjoy it. But I think my character, Desmond's, he's searching for somebody that's very important to him, and he's got a bone to pick with that person.
They said he was on Arrakis for like 8 tours. Do you think being on that planet deeply affected him?
They're actually tours. He's a singer. So, yeah. And, I'm sure they affected him, but it's always your childhood stuff that makes your journey more interesting. So I think there's a lot of stuff that happened to him when he was a child that he's really searching for. And obviously, a lot of people go to battle sometimes when they're fighting their own demons.
Well, to jump further down the timeline, Sarah, your character is Princess Inez, and she is the heir to the throne, but she also is eager to become a Bene Gesserit. So I'm curious, what do you think the Sisterhood represents to her?
Well, in a way, they represent everything that she wants to learn and become. As the heir to the Golden Throne, she wants to live up to that role, but she wants to do things her way. And she wants to be like these women that are strong and powerful and in control. And these are all abilities that she really wants to learn, and that she is certain that she can learn at the Sisterhood and then become the kind of future ruler that she wants to become.
Josh, how would you describe Constantine's role in the royal household as also a child of the emperor?
I think Constantine's role in the household is, I guess, it's not as important as Nez's, but he definitely still has his own duties, and I guess he sees himself getting to a certain level. But I think for the most part, he's kind of just trying to get his father's approval.
Do you think there's affection or maybe a little bit of a rivalry between the royal siblings?
I think it's affection. I think Constantine has unconditional love for Nez, and it's like he would do anything in his power to protect her. Yeah, I don't think it's. I think there's probably like a slight amount of jealousy in terms of like just his bloodline, but no, I don't think it's like a toxic thing like that. I think it's just super protective, if anything.
Yeah, and also for them, like having another person who knows exactly what it's like being part of a royal family and living that secluded life, you know, with everything that comes with that, I think is a gift for them, you know, and they protect each other and confide in each other, and you know. Yeah,
I think they use each other as kind of like their rocks to get through a pretty toxic upbringing.
Chloe, your character was raised from birth with the Bene Gesserit. She sees them as family. Do you think that is a good thing for Leela?
A good thing? Well, I think it's interesting because I think, Lila being like born in the Sisterhood, I think she's kind of been indoctrinated with that ideology like since she was a baby. Like, and it's something that she really trusts and has never questioned, you know, sisterhood above all. It's one of her like main beliefs. And I do think it's interesting because, you know, people see in the show that there's a moment where Lila's kind of forced to question everything she's ever believed in for the first time in her life, which is so scary. Like, I'm pretty sure we've all like had moments where we have to challenge our like preconceived beliefs. And I think it just like adds to like the stakes of like a difficult decision that Lila has to eventually make. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, and I don't think it's very black and white.
I just want to say I'm a longtime Dune fan, and I very much enjoyed the first 2 episodes, which gave a peek to parts of the universe I didn't really know about before. And I thought a good place to begin is for our producers here, Alison, Jordan. You both have a history in the science fiction genre. What was your relationship with Dune before Prophecy?
Dune is such a seminal science fiction classic, and I certainly have a memory of reading it as a teenager and having my mind blown by it, and then having it blown all over again by Denis films, which have come out recently, and it just feels like an incredibly exciting time to be working in the Dune universe. I'm very much a fan, and also, you know, thrilled to be creating with these characters.
Yeah, I mean, Dune has been a massive influence on science fiction since 1965. You're hard-pressed to find anything of science fiction since then that hasn't been influenced by it. Dune Prophecy was a real opportunity to kind of allow us to explore different worlds and different characters, and that was just an exciting part of the voyage because, you know, anything outside of Arrakis hasn't really been touched, and we were very eager to do that.
You mentioned the Denis films. Did you talk to Denis at all, or how much were you influenced by his films while making your own world?
I've spoken with Denis. I mean, he's very supportive, but also very busy doing his own projects. So in that regard, he set a universe and grounded a universe in a way that, you know, we very much want to speak to. But our show takes place 10,000 years before the film, so we're very much free to be creatively exploring our story.
For all the sisters here, what was it like training to become Bene Gesserit? Did you all learn the sign language?
I didn't. I was in the past. Ours was just pure, like, we just raw dogged it. It was the voice or nothing. It was at the beginning. We were just like, it's just pure mental strength. And then basically we finessed it to these guys. So I didn't do any of the, like,
all that.
No, I'm just the voice, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't need to learn anything else.
I mean, I since I don't know the language, I could have totally believed you said something right there.
Right.
There it is. I think we did like Prana Bindu like training and stuff, like the meditations, and I think that was like about it. But I think it's quite like an overwhelming world of like skill and
I also wanted to ask, one of the things I really appreciated in this series is that y'all have continued to use the Bene Gesserit sign language. And for our leads here, I was curious, I'm sure y'all studied it, did y'all become fluent in that language?
Yeah, we had like a 6-month school where we went and,
it was a few months. There were a few months.
I think the sign language is something that we just had to we did a bit on work, but you have to create something that looks like it could be a sophisticated communication system, but actually, it's just, well.
Yeah. We got the people who did the battle language for the films to come help us out to kind of build out the few phrases that Emily and the other Truthsayers had to communicate with. So it's pretty authentic.
Can you say hello? How are you?
Yeah.
Nice. I got that even through your body. But it was that idea of having levels of communication that are almost cellular. I mean, I've experienced that with my family, and I think one of the brilliant things about setting this in that is a place that's effectively a convent is that has created a mystery around women for centuries. Men are very interested to know what women get up to when they're not looking. And I think whether it's a real sense that they can communicate or everyone believes that they can communicate, that is what is important, and that is what is fun to play.
That might not have even been hello. That could have been, and I wouldn't know.
You will never know.
Well, we're talking about adding elements that audiences are familiar with, but I'm curious, this is partially based on Dune, Sisterhood of Dune. But are you looking at beyond just that book or the first Dune novel? Are you pulling from, say, Dune Chapter House and elements of that with the Bene Gesserit?
So glad that question's for you. Are we basing this on Dune Chapter
We
House?
are definitely inspired by
Yes.
Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson's Schools trilogy, and Sisterhood of Dune is a very seminal text, but also Mentats of Dune, Navigators of Dune. Our story touches on elements that happen in the whole trilogy. So, and we're also creating, with the estate's blessing and Brian in communication with him, a couple decades out from that book. So we're looking at 2 different time periods with these Harkonnen sisters.
Do you feel you have a little more latitude because you're adapting beyond just the single book?
Yes, we definitely have room to be adapting, and at the same time, we're really grounded in the characters and their backstories, and the world that's depicted in the book has been definitely a guiding map for us. But also, yes, we have the freedom to extrapolate and grow the world a bit, and that's quite a privilege.
And how did you, you mentioned that it's several decades out. How did you pick where in the story you wanted to begin or to tell this story?
Well, I think we were very interested in this journey of Valya Harkonnen as the second Mother Superior and where she came from and where she and Tula originated. And the books give us an amazing window into that. But to see her, once she's attained power and has a firm handle on the sisterhood, at least at the beginning of the series, required seeing her as a more mature person in the show. So,
In my head, it starts at the moment where she thinks she's nailed it.
Right.
Everything is now going to be great.
Exactly. Always a dangerous moment.
The end of history.
Well, and then it is. That's the big twist. Everything goes great. All right. Well, this was great, and thank you for coming by, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Excellent questions. Thank you.